What's up, paper highlighter fam? Buckle up because today's gossip is messy, petty, and weirdly wholesome for like 30 seconds. First up, Gino's at a singles event trying to flirt, but he can't stop narrating his Jasmine breakup like it's a courtroom drama. And when two women start whispering, smirking, and laughing in his face, the internet splits. He deserves it versus that was straight up rude. Either way, this date night turned into a public humiliation speed run. Meanwhile, Pedro's ready for his next chapter, and he's aiming it straight at Sophie. Decorated van, rose petals, big romantic flex, and he's hinting at marriage and a family already. Sophie's impressed, but is she even trying to get serious that fast? Also, Jamal gets clocked raiding Kimberly's fridge and walking out with a whole pack of Diet Coke, and Reddit is calling it broke boy behavior. Like, sir, was that groceries or a personality trait? And yes, Forrest and Sheena's families hit a hot kawa bath, and the vibes are so relaxed people are calling it yuck soup, while Mona's out here getting seasoned like a spa queen. And finally, Yara's 2016 to 2026 glow-up post ignites a full-on debate. Nose job, filler, just hair and makeup. But the messiest twist, people claiming her daughter looks more like the old Yara. The comments are a battlefield. If you live for reality TV chaos, hit like, subscribe, and smack that bell so you don't miss a single meltdown. Drop a comment right now. Team Gino deserved it or team that was cruel? Gino really walked into a singles event smiling like he's the main character and left looking like the group project nobody wanted. This matters because instead of a fresh start, Gino turns a meet and mingle into a Jasmine post-mortem, then gets clocked by two women so hard the fandom is now split into war camps. Alright, here's what's popping off. The cameras cut to Gino at a singles event and he's wearing that overconfident I'm totally fine grin, the kind that screams I practice charm in the mirror. Except the reset never happens because the second he starts talking, he's not introducing himself like a normal human, he's dragging Jasmine. Again. Viewers are calling it peak cringe because it's giving, hi, I'm Gino and my personality is my breakup. And what's lighting people up is the storyline he keeps pushing. Jasmine cheated. Gino's acting personally betrayed like he didn't agree to the open marriage rules in the first place. That's why the audience side-eye is so intense. If you said yes to the arrangement, you don't get to rewrite history afterward just because your ego took a hit. Then come the two women, aka the moments the entire scene tilts into full secondhand embarrassment. Gino is trying to sell the vibe, smiling too hard, laughing too loud, doing that awkwardly confident I'm fun, I swear routine. Meanwhile, the women are giving straight up mean girls energy, whispering, smirking, trading looks like he's not even in the conversation, while he's literally standing right there. And that's where the internet explodes into two teams. Team He Deserves It says they're tired of Gino recycling Jasmine drama and playing victim, so watching him get brushed off feels like consequences. Some fans are going as far as calling him awkward, creepy, or just painfully gameless, so the rejection hits like karma. But Team That Was Rude is also loud. Even people who don't like Gino are admitting the whisper and giggle routine was brutal. Like, if you're not interested, walk away. Don't stage a live humiliation like it's high school cafeteria theater. And here's the thing, both can be true. Gino sabotages himself by censoring Jasmine instead of showing up as a clean slate. But getting mocked to your face, that's a different kind of sting. The bigger question fans keep asking is he actually dating or just auditioning to keep the Jasmine storyline alive? The spiciest take I've seen, people think Gino doesn't want a new relationship, he wants a new audience for the same old breakup speech. Stick around because the next story is a total 180 from this cringe fest. We're heading straight into Pedro's new chapter with Sophie. Rose petals, big gestures, and rumors he's already thinking marriage. Pedro's officially stepping out of the Chantel shadow, and the way he's coming on strong with Sophie has fans asking, is this real romance or reality TV damage control? Okay, let's talk about the plot twist nobody had on their bingo card. Pedro Jimeno is out here giving new chapter energy with Sophie Sierra on the single life, and he's not being subtle about it. After laying low post-breakup, Pedro's suddenly ready to put his heart on the table and maybe put Sophie in a wedding dress. So here's what's being shown and buzzed about. Pedro meets up with friends in the Dominican Republic to plan a surprise for Sophie, and not a cute little here's a snack surprise. No, he goes full romantic production. We're talking car/van decorated with rose petals like he's filming a music video. Pedro even admits he's been keeping a low profile since things imploded with Chantel Everett. That breakup was messy, public, and the fandom watched the highs and lows like it was a sport. But now Pedro's basically saying he's done living in that chapter. He tells the cameras he put everything behind him and he's ready for the next stage of his life, with effort. And he doesn't just mean I'm open to dating. He's out here calling himself a romantic guy. Like, sir, okay. What's wild is how specific he gets about what he likes about Sophie. According to fan accounts and episode chatter, Pedro's describing her like he's already locked in. Her eyes, her lips, the whole she has everything I'm looking for package. And then he takes it even further. He's hoping for marriage and starting a family. Not maybe someday, not if it works. He's putting husband and dad on the mood board already. Meanwhile, Sophie's reaction is where the suspense lives. She's impressed. She likes the charm, she likes the attention, she likes the grand gesture vibe, but she's also not exactly sprinting into serious commitment mode. So now fans are watching this like a slow-motion chess match. Pedro's trying to lock it down, Sophie is enjoying the moment, but is she ready to sign up for the full Pedro package? And let's not ignore the extra layer here. Pedro's been mostly quiet since Chantel. Chantel's been doing her own post-split era, and the fandom has opinions on everyone moving on. So Pedro choosing Sophie and choosing her publicly feels like a statement, like I'm not the villain in the breakup story, I'm the romantic lead now. The spiciest speculation, fans think Pedro's going so hard because he wants to prove he's not the problem, like this romance is his redemption arc and Sophie is the headline. Don't touch that dial because the next story is petty, hilarious, and painfully relatable. We're diving into Jamal Menzies getting roasted for raiding his mom's fridge, Diet Coke included, and the broke boy vibes debate is out of control. All right, let's get into the moment that launched 1,000 think pieces. Jamal Menzies pops up on The Single Life, and it's not a date, not a confession, not a plot twist. It's him in his mom Kimberly's kitchen. And somehow, this short little scene turned into a whole online trial about adulthood. So here's what viewers say they clocked. Jamal grabs a pack, specifically a whole slab of Diet Coke from Kimberly's fridge, like he's doing a casual pit stop. But the way it played on screen, people felt like he wasn't just grabbing one drink, he was shopping. Reddit immediately ran with it, basically saying, "Why is this grown man raiding his mom's groceries?" And the comments got savage fast. One of the biggest drags was that Jamal gave 16-year-old who can't afford groceries energy because it looked like he was taking the entire pack home, not cracking one open and chilling with his mom. Some fans even pointed out that Kimberly carried the Coke in, and Jamal still walked out with the full box. Like, sir, not the post-delivery snatch and grab. Then the speculation snowballed into career talk. Jamal's been floating around the franchise, pillow talk, appearances, and now content creation with the Bad Boys crew. So people started asking the question out loud. Is the content not paying? Is he unemployed? Is he relying on 90-day clout checks and mom's pantry? That's when you started seeing comments like, he's never had a job other than content, and he needs to grow up, get a real job, and act like a man. But the spiciest part is that not everyone thought it was a crime. Some fans were like, if my mom had snacks, I'm grabbing a drink too. The difference is what one commenter nailed. It wouldn't be weird if it was a rare moment, but people feel like this is a habit. Like Jamal treats Kimberly's kitchen like his personal convenience store. And when the internet decides something is a pattern, it's over. And then there's the living situation debate. A chunk of the fandom is convinced Jamal still lives with his mom, or at least relies on her way more than he wants to admit, because the vibe wasn't visiting, it was restocking. So now, one silly scene has turned into a full character analysis. Is Jamal just close with his mom, or is he a grown man freeloading in 4K? The funniest theory? People think Jamal didn't even want the Coke. He wanted the box to carry other stuff out, which is somehow even more chaotic. And just when you think we're done, the next story goes from fridge drama to full-on spa serenity. We're heading straight into Forrest and Sheena's hot kawa bath moments, where the chaos pauses, the families soak, and Mona gets seasoned like she's at a wellness retreat. All right, let's talk about the most unexpected vibe shift in the 90-day universe. Forrest, Sheena, and both families hit full wellness retreat mode with a hot kawa bath, Philippine style, and the internet doesn't know whether to say "aw" or "absolutely not." If you haven't seen these clips yet, picture this. Giant wood-fired cauldrons turned into rustic luxury tubs filled with warm water, herbs, petals, the whole aromatherapy but make it countryside aesthetic. Everyone's dipping in, looking suspiciously peaceful for people who were just battling over intentions and money vibes. And the standout character? Mona. Of course it's Mona. The minute she sinks into that bath, she basically transforms into a relaxed auntie telling stories like it's story time at the spa. Forrest cracks jokes that he feels like he's getting cooked because, honestly, the cauldron setup really does look like someone's about to serve human hot pot. Mona claps back with the energy of a woman who's finally winning. She says they can cook as long as they want. Then it gets even more sensory. Mona smelling the flowers in the tub. Sheena's dad is rubbing his face with a leaf in water like he just discovered skincare, and the whole scene turns into this oddly intimate family bonding moment. Mona starts reminiscing about Forrest's childhood and gets nostalgic, saying she could lie in that bath for hours. And when the water cools, she casually uses her toe to turn the hot water knob like she's the queen of the cauldron. Mona keeps describing the herbs and medicines like they're working on her body, and Sheena jokes that it's seasoning. Mona immediately agrees, because yes, we are officially at the point where someone is calling themselves seasoned in a soup bath on national TV. Now, fan reactions are all over the place. One side of the comments is soft. This looks sweet. This feels nurturing. Wait, is the mom finally not complaining? People are shocked to see Mona enjoying something without dragging the experience. But the other side, full disgust. Some viewers are calling it yuck soup, questioning the cleanliness, and zooming in like detectives. Is that a leaf or something else? And because it's Mona, you know the shade isn't far. One person even joked she'll mention money the second she gets out. And then there are the tiny goofy moments that fans can't let go of. Forrest putting 2 leaves on his glasses like he's a botanical superhero. Cute, yes. Unhinged, also yes. The spiciest take is that this peaceful bath is a strategic reset, because nothing builds tension like giving everyone one calm moment before the next blow-up. Next up, Yara's then versus now photos spark a comment section civil war, and people are dragging everything from plastic surgery to motherhood to her daughter's resemblance. Okay, paper highlighter fam, here's what lit the internet on fire. A post started circulating claiming to show a 2016 versus 2026 transformation of 90 Day Fiancé star Yara. Side-by-side images, dramatic framing, big 10 years apart energy, and the second it hit timelines, the replies turned into a full-on civil war. And you already know the comment section split into factions like it's a reunion special. Camp 1 is like, she barely changed. Their argument, most of what people are seeing can be explained by hair color, better makeup, and grown-up glam. The big three suspects they keep naming are a nose job, possible lip filler, and then the classic glow-up tools: contour, lighting, angles, filters. Basically, blonde plus refined nose plus upgraded makeup. Next case. Camp 2, they swear she's unrecognizable. This group treats the collage like evidence, zooming in like forensic analysts. Nose shape, lip volume, cheek structure, jawline, everything gets debated. Some commenters even call the work tasteful, saying if she did get something done, it was subtle and well executed. And of course, the internet being the internet, you've got people joking they want the surgeon's name like it's a shopping link. But then the conversation takes a turn because it stops being just about Yara and becomes about her daughter. That's when things get heated. One of the most repeated claims in the replies is, her daughter looks like the original Yara. People keep saying the child resembles old Yara more than current Yara, like they're trying to prove a point about genetics and identity. And that's where the whole thread gets loaded, because now it's not just did she change, it's should she have changed, and what message does this send, and are moms allowed to evolve? Some comments go full moral debate mode. What does this teach your daughter about beauty? Others clap back hard with the her body, her choice energy, saying confidence is the point and no one owes the public the same face forever. And then, because every 90-day discussion eventually spirals, you get the don't go too far crowd, tossing out warnings like, don't end up like Darcy and Stacy. That comparison shows up like clockwork anytime cosmetic work is mentioned. Meanwhile, other commenters insist the entire conversation is pointless because photos lie. Lighting, angles, editing, weight changes, and glam can completely change how someone reads on camera. What's really fascinating is the underlying theme: insecurity and entitlement. People aren't just analyzing a before and after, they're projecting feelings about fame pressure, self-worth, and the way reality TV turns a face into a brand. The post is about Yara, but the chaos is really about the audience wanting control. The spiciest speculation is that this goes viral because fans can't decide if they're mad at Yara or mad that she did something they secretly want the freedom to do too. Now, do me a favor. Smash that like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and drop in the comments which story had you clutching your pearls the hardest. I'm Paper Highlighter. Stay highlighted, stay hydrated, and stay messy. See you in the next one.